Scones don't have to be great sugary things. In fact, they started out as savory items to be eaten straight out of the oven. These yummy little rosemary-scented olive scones are more in that tradition. Plus, they are high in fiber and low in added salt. I've preheated the oven to 400 degrees because, as with all little scones and biscuits, the oven needs to be piping hot when we're ready for it. All we need for these is a cup of whole wheat flour, a cup of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and our magic ingredient today, this is some dried rosemary. There's about 2 tablespoons. This I ground in a spice grinder that I have, which is actually a really cheap coffee grinder. But you can take just regular dried rosemary and just literally chop it up. It'll be a bit coarser. So the reason I'm using dried rosemary and not fresh is just really because I can make it more like a powder. Rosemary is a wonderful aromatic herb which has real cancer-fighting properties, which make it a great herb to keep in your kitchen, whether it's fresh or it's dry. Right, now I'm going to stir into the flour half a cup of black olives that I've chopped up. Now these are oil-cured black olives, so I kind of love that flavor best, but you can use any black olives that you have. And the last but not least, we're going to stir in some Parmesan cheese. There's 2 tablespoons here. And this isn't so much for cheesiness, it's more because Parmesan cheese has umami, which will make the scones more savory without adding salt. In fact, you'll notice that no salt has gone into these because the olives and the Parmesan cheese on their own are plenty salty enough. Putting in 1/3 cup of olive oil, and I'm going to top it up with just enough milk to bring it up to half a cup. Just going to beat it up a little bit. Ooh. I'm just going to tip the egg into it just because then it can all go in to the dry ingredients together. I'm mixing it together now, so it's going to form a sticky dough. Okay, time for hands. Now I've got to knead it together. Let those olives get away. But the end results are always worth it. This, guys, is what's known as kneading. I'm going to try and do the other side a bit, so give my arms an equal workout. This now is getting on to be perfect. All right. So I'm going to put this into a rough round. And I'm just going to roll it a little bit, not too much. It's about 1 inch high. Don't want it to be less than that. And it's just roughly round. So with my knife, I'm going to cut it into 8 pieces. Now I've got this tray here, which we put a bit of parchment paper on just for easy cleanup, and put some already sprinkled some flour over. And I'm going to put the wedges with room for them to expand, because this looks small, but they're going to get a lot bigger once they're in the oven. All I've got to do now is put them in the oven and bake them for 10 to 15 minutes on a high shelf at 400. OMG, these look so good. These smell so good, I can't tell you. I'm just going to put them on the rack to cool a little bit. And I can't tell you how good that monounsaturated olive oil smells, and the cheese in there and everything is just, and the rosemary. It smells like heaven. I'm just going to let them sit here for about 5 minutes, but these really need to be eaten hot. I have to try one, I have to say. Oh, these are so good. Get cooking, make yourself a batch. Enjoy.